Welcome to episode 39 of Paris Playbook. Today I'm joined by Taylor Langan. She's with the Rider women's basketball team. Taylor, thanks for joining me. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm pretty good. It's Thursday's over and for tomorrow's Friday, so can't complain about that. First kind of thing I want to dive into is did you play other sports growing up? And if so, did you have like a point where you then devoted all your time to basketball, or was it always like number one out of your sports?
I've actually played soccer growing up. I was on a club team just like I was for AU in basketball, and we traveled throughout the summer to different tournaments to get like scouted and recruiting. I also ran track, but my junior year of high school is when I decided to stop playing soccer completely and devote my time all to basketball. But in the meantime, between I would say eighth grade and freshman year, I kind of knew I was getting highly recruited by the beginning of my freshman year, end of my eighth grade. So I knew that basketball was going to be where I wanted to go. And soccer was just like something else to keep me like in shape and just like socially, like better atmosphere.
Was it a hard decision to make to stop playing soccer, or was it pretty easy?
It was pretty easy for me, but I just felt bad. Like I missed seeing the girls in my team because it was a club team. So everyone was from different towns. So it wasn't like going to high school together. So that was like a
Yeah.
different friendship that I kind of had to like figure out outside of just sport.
Right. Yeah. Add a different aspect to the social side of it. So you said you started getting heavily recruited then for basketball. Let's go through your kind of recruiting, and you ended up going to Colgate. That was your first stop. So take us through your recruiting and then, landing on the decision to go to Colgate.
I actually had a really unique recruiting process. So I was committed by the beginning of my freshman year of high school to Delaware. My family has gone there. My dad and my uncle both went there. My brother and my sister both went there. So when I was offered, it was kind of like end all be all, and I knew that's exactly what I wanted to do. It wasn't up until the end of my junior year where my recruiting process kind of had to shift because they got a new athletic director and a new head coach. So my verbal commitment didn't really stay with the university anymore. So at this point, I was kind of scrambling on like what to do because all the schools that was recruiting me, mid major and low major at that point when I was or when I was committed to Delaware, they kind of already filled that spot. I got really lucky with Colgate because the coach, I guess, asked my AU program, John Griff, for the New Jersey Panthers if I was committed. And at the time, he said I was, but then he reached back out and I went up for a visit. And I knew one girl because she also played for my AU program. So it was nice to meet the girls. I got a little bit of different feeling because I already knew someone on the team. So she kind of like let me know more about how the university runs and stuff outside of just me and the coaches. So then beginning of my senior year is when I committed to Colgate.
That had to have been pretty stressful, the whole Delaware situation, and like having to go back into your recruiting after you'd mentioned all the other schools had kind of already found something. Were you pretty stressed out and panicked throughout that whole process?
Yeah, I was definitely stressed out and panicking. I didn't really expect any of that to happen. So when somebody has a really good plan for me, I'm like, oh, because I feel like I'm someone who's very organized. But it ended up working out, and I was like meant to be with people that I was supposed to be with and go there. So it
Yeah,
worked out
yeah,
good.
it worked out the way it was supposed to. Um, yeah, your career at Colgate, you had some injury struggles throughout your time there. So why don't we start with that? I guess I'll mention the COVID obviously happening in when you were at COVID or Colgate too. So I don't know if that kind of like coincided with any of the injuries or how you want to kind of go through that. But those were two things, like obviously COVID threw a wrench in everything, and then your injury struggles too.
Yeah, so my freshman year, I beginning preseason, I tore my ACL meniscus. So I was out that whole year. I definitely learned a lot about myself, I will say. Like there's been a lot of ups and downs. I think it gives you a whole new perspective about just being able to play a sport. I became really close with our trainer at school, so she helped me a lot. Sophomore year I played. That was our best year Colgate's had in over like 15 or 20 years since since 2004, I want to say. I'm not sure of how correct that is. We actually lost in the semifinals or the quarterfinals to Lehigh home. So that was the best record they've had in a while. So that was a really good year, and I'm happy I was able to be a part of the team in that aspect. And then junior year was COVID year, but I also tore my ACL meniscus again that same year. So I got surgery for the second time. And then senior year, I played 9 games. I started the first 4 games, and then I started the last 5 games again. I actually developed a stress fracture from returning to play too early and not like having any like time management with like playing time and stuff. I kind of just like thrown right in there since game one instead of like monitoring how many minutes I was getting. So it kind of had a little bit of an effect, but I was able to come back at the end of the year, start back on the team again, and be like another leader that we had.
So I guess it kind of worked out the second time you tore your ACL that it happened during COVID because things were a mess with seasons anyway. Not that you want to get injured, but I guess if you have to get injured, that would have been the time to do it. Was it discouraging? Like, did you struggle with all that mentally, like tearing it again, and then having to deal with all that time not playing? Was that hard for you to deal with?
Yeah, I think the hardest part for me, I didn't really have the best go around the first time. So I had to like really figure out who I was, especially being in a new environment. First going to college for my first year, having to meet a whole new team, whole new coaching staff, not really knowing anyone who I could like truly rely on. So having that like understanding and then tearing it again my second time, I come to a new perspective about it. And now I say like one way that's really affected me is I try and make sure everyone knows like we're really lucky to be able to do what we do every single day. So I would say like my biggest like thing that I focus on is making sure that no one on my team gets like, oh, like I don't want to be here anymore. Cause like a lot of people would die to be in our position. So I would say the second time around was a little bit more of like tedious because 9 months felt like 2 years because I knew exactly everything I was doing. I was just repeating it over and over again. So I would say, yeah.
Yeah, but like you just mentioned, I mean, it helps you now as a leader on your current team, and you can use those experiences to help other of your teammates. So after your time at Colgate, you went to Millersville, which is a D2 school. So what was the decision in deciding to transfer? Did you care about division? Like, did that matter to you, or was it more just like looking for another place to play, change the scenery, try to get more playing time? Like, what went into your decision? What were the factors that you were looking at?
There was actually only one factor that made me make my decision so fast. So Coach Hall, who was the head coach at Millersville, was actually my position coach my sophomore year when we had the best year at Colgate. She was the guard coach and player development. So I watched film with her. I learned a lot from her. I had bunch of individuals. And when she left Colgate, I was actually really sad. Definitely probably cried a little bit, but I knew it was like what she wanted to do in her career. So I was proud of her for making that next step to be a head coach. So when I graduated Colgate, we were still in touch every year. She was kind of like, listen, like, I need a captain. I need someone who can be a leader. I know like this is a role that you want. And for her, like I would do anything for her. I think she means the world to me. So I kind of just picked. I didn't really know anything about the school. I didn't even meet the team. I just asked what kind of master's program they have, and they had the one I wanted. So I was like, let's just do this thing. And I was happy that I could be coached by her again.
And then I mean, it worked out for you too, in a sense of you didn't get to consistently play when you're at Colgate, and then you got to play a full season, leader on the team. You led the team in pretty much all major categories. Did that, you know, help your confidence after all the injury struggles? I mean, then you get to play a full season and have a lot of success. That had to have felt good and helped your confidence after what you had went through at Colgate.
Yeah, actually, it definitely did feel good just be able to play, like, let alone the stats that I had and like what our team accomplished as a whole group. Just being able to play every day and just know like, oh, I have a game tomorrow, like, oh, we have playoffs, we have a huge rivalry, like just that energy for the whole season was something that I really missed. And I forgot like what the feeling was to play a whole season long. So I enjoyed it a lot and I was happy.
Yeah. And then I'm sure you kind of had a different like perspective. You mentioned feeling lucky to get to do what you get to do, and you knew what it was like not to. So I'm sure you didn't take it for granted once you got that opportunity to play that whole season. I mean, once you sit out for multiple seasons, it's probably hard to take it for granted ever again.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we had a lot of new players last year too at Millersville. So there were a lot of pieces that we had to put together, and just kind of like everyone buying in on this whole new team is like one of our biggest things. So I had to be a big part of that and take on a huge responsibility being a grad student.
Right. So after your successful season at Millersville, obviously you wanted to keep playing because now you're at Ryder. So talk about that transition. Why you ended up picking Ryder?
It's funny. I feel like everything happens in a full circle. So Ryder was actually recruiting me same time Delaware was. I took a visit and everything. I just did end up picking Ryder over Delaware. And when I put my name in the portal at the end of the school year, Coach Hall already knew I was getting ready to, I wanted to leave after this year and go somewhere else. So Coach Milligan called me the 4 days into me being in the portal and was like, "What's going on?" Blah blah. And she wanted me to come visit. So after my visit and just like talking with her, it kind of was something where I knew it's very hard to find people that believe in you every single time, year after year, especially with the experiences that I've had. It's very hard for me to trust other people, especially coaches. So as soon as she reached out, I knew like I had to do this. Like this was going to be an easy decision for me because she's never stopped believing in me. And like once someone is loyal to me, I show the same respect back. So that's kind of how I ended up here. I'm able to finish up my master. So that was like another huge point I wanted to make sure was like if I'm going to be in school for another year, I want to make sure that I'm getting all my requirements in.
Did the going back to D1 matter at all to you? Or like if another opportunity had come up at another D2 school, would you have considered it? Or, was that important to you to go back to D1?
That's a good question. At the time, I probably would have just stayed at Division 2 just for that, just stayed at Millersville for 1 more year just because of like transferring all that stuff. But when I put my name in the portal, there weren't really, it was like basically all Division 1 schools reaching back out. I had maybe like one or two Division 2 schools, but at that point they were already in the PSAC, so they knew everything about me, and I wasn't really looking to stay within the conference.
Yeah. So you mentioned the fact of being a grad student, obviously, and all the different things, the struggles, the adversity that you gone through, go through in your career. Talk about what how that has kind of helped you to be a leader. I mean, now you're in your sixth year, around college basketball. You've had the injuries, you've dealt with COVID, you've played different roles, from where you were at Colgate to being a leader at Millersville. So kind of how do you put all that together to be a leader here at Ryder?
So I feel like within different chapters of my life, I've learned a lot about how to lead people. When I was a sophomore at Colgate, there weren't many. We had a lot of different people with different personalities. So learning how to like work as a group and work as a team to be that good my sophomore year is definitely like an aspect of leadership that I had to learn quickly. Is that we can't talk to everyone on our team the same. You need to build relationships first outside of the court. Millersville, the more basketball wise, which is like my work performance, letting my work show like my knowledge, putting in time and effort into like helping my other teammates get better if they have any questions or things. Cause I feel like that's like a big part of the transition between high school and college. Is something that some people might not understand. So being there, being the outlet resource for them. And then now just being a 6 year here at Ryder, like there's a lot of expectations that I have for myself and for the program as a whole, because I know like this is it for me. I don't have any more years left of college. So making sure that our culture is like going to help us succeed is one thing. And obviously I do need to perform at a high level this year, with all the new pieces we have on the Ryder's roster. So yeah.
With all of that being said, kind of looking ahead to the season, what are your thoughts? I mean, we're getting close. It's got to be exciting. November, a lot of teams have exhibition games starting up. Kind of looking at schedule and what about the team already. What are your thoughts? Looking ahead at the upcoming season.
I'm actually really excited for this year because we have 8 new players, including myself. I don't think that this conference can look at last year and say we're the same exact team that Ryder was last year. I think we're going to shock a lot of people. We have brand new pieces. Our offense is going to be different. The way we're going to move the ball in a rotation is going to help put everyone in a better position instead of being like we rely on just one person. So I think as a collective group, we're going to do a really good job of letting each team know that it might be somebody else's night and giving them the basketball. I think that's our biggest lesson we need to learn as a group is it can be someone's day. It can be someone's game, a different game or a different day. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's one, I mean, thing with college sports. I mean, like you said, the conference is going to have to realize you weren't the same team last year. You see it all the time. Teams that do a 180, they're complete opposite from where they were. They had a losing season, and then all of a sudden, the next year they have the opposite record. So it definitely can't kind of just label teams based on what they had last year. And I'm sure there's some teams that probably will. They'll probably look at you guys and they'll give you that label, but usually that doesn't work too well for the other team when you kind of just think of it that you can't have that attitude in college athletics, I guess is what I'm trying to say, because as you guys are probably the underdogs this year, I've talked about it a lot on this podcast, is the best place to be, that underdog mentality, and go in and ruin somebody's night.
No, I feel like that's the best thing to do. I would love to be an underdog. I think it's better than being first or second, to be honest.
Yeah. Oh yeah, totally. Well, you've got more to lose if you're first or second too. The underdog, you've got nothing to lose. And then when you do win, it feels that much better. And when you do shock people, everyone's like, "Oh, where did this team come from?" It feels so much better.
Especially in March Madness, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, when the number one seeds get knocked off, Purdue losing, busting everyone's brackets, and the men's, and
Yeah.
then Stanford losing in the women's. I mean, some of these just huge upsets. But I mean, that's why we watch the games. That's why people play the games. That's what it's all about. Looking back at your career in the different stops, Colgate, Millersville, is there a most memorable game that you played in? And then I guess, why is that game so memorable for you?
Most memorable game. I would say at Colgate my sophomore year, we have never I guess the time that my coach was there, we did not beat Boston College in over like 10 years at home, like at Boston. So it was a tough game. We were down by like 5 or something with a minute and a half left. We came out of a timeout. And my coach was like, don't rush anything. My best friend Rachel passes me the ball, and she was our best player at the time. I get a ball screen from one of our posts, and I just take a step back three as a sophomore, and it goes right. And my best friend Rachel looked at me like, "You better not, like, be careful, because like we're trying to score, like take a smart shot." And I take a step back three, and it ends up going in. So just that exact moment of like making that shot to help put us in like contender to take the game over, which we did. And I remember everyone's like energy in the locker room being like, "This could be our year," yada yada yada, and just like the overall excitement was fun to have, and like to beat them at home. The floor was shaking, the fans were going crazy. That was a lot of fun.
Do you like think about it in that moment, or did you just like kind of just like take the shot and it's like after it left your hands, you were like, "Oh, I hope this goes in."
No, I actually was not thinking, like I was just in the zone. So I wasn't thinking anything else. And I just saw the opening when it came off the screen. I was like, I have to take this. So
Yeah.
I just let it fall. I was like, well, if it doesn't go in, I'm never gonna hear the end of it. If it goes in, everyone will clap.
Did your coach ever say anything to you about that shot? Like, it was worried, but you made it, so it was okay, or
Yeah, it was me, my friend Rachel and him. We were all talking one time for a game, and they were both like, if you did not make that shot, we would have been screaming at you. I'm like, okay, yeah, I figured.
yeah. Oh, that's funny. I guess this is a similar question, but it could have like a different answer. But do you just have like a best memory overall? It doesn't have to be from playing, but so far your time at your different colleges, do you have just kind of a favorite memory overall?
Last year, I'll just do different. Last year, we were fighting to be ranked third at Millersville, and we were going up against Kutztown. And so me and Coach Hall were talking the night before, like all day long, and she's like, Tay, I really need this win. I'm like, all right. I'm like, what does this mean for us? And she's like, oh, get us up to third, and I want to be top three. Like, I want this to be my mark. coming up, and I said, all right, let's do this thing. So game's on the line. We end up coming back, goes into overtime. You keep going, goes into double overtime. And I don't know what happened. That my parents said that was the best game I've ever had in my life. And we won in double overtime against Kutztown to take the third seed in the playoff run, which is the highest they've had in years. So just like doing that, my job to win for Coach Hall in that moment, and just like seeing how happy our team was to know that we were ranked third. And just like playing in double overtime. I mean, like not many games going to double overtime, because at first you're like, what? Seriously again? But looking back on it and reflecting, I just remember how happy everybody was. First off, also how tired we all were, but it was just like a really good moment.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And you spoke very highly of your coach too, so that had to mean a lot, to know how much it meant to her, and then to go out there and to be able to successfully, get her that win that had to have kind of played into that.
Hmm.
So obviously we've mentioned that you're a grad student and you're going to be, headed off to the real world after this year. So what do you want to do after college? Do you have a plan yet, or are you still trying to figure that out?
I definitely want to coach after playing, but I do want to go to Europe and play professionally for a few years. That's definitely been a goal of mine since I'm graduating from Colgate. I didn't anticipate playing 2 years after that, but right now I'm definitely focused on going to go play in Europe. Now, how long I stay there, I'm not sure, but from there, I guess my life is to be a college coach and then to go into the athletic department at some point.
So you want to stay around basketball for as long as you can.
Yeah, I can't imagine like not being involved in sports at all.
Yeah, definitely. Well, let's talk about a few non-sports questions here. Like, what are your hobbies? What do you like to do for fun when you're not playing basketball?
I love going to the beach, so that's definitely number one. I just love going to the beach, whether it's like playing spike ball, boogie boarding, surfboarding, like all that stuff I love to do. Hiking, I'm really big on. And honestly, like any other sport that involves like being outside, just like doing something outdoors, whether it's just like sitting around talking to my friends or something, I would say is like those are my main three.
You like to be on the go. You like to be moving, like to be active, I guess is a good way to put it.
Yeah, I definitely have an active lifestyle. I wouldn't say like I lounge around at all. Maybe on Sundays if football's on, that's pretty much the only day where I'll let myself just like chill and not do anything. But other
Yeah.
than that, I prefer like to be going out doing fun.
Are you a big football fan?
Yes, I love football. I like the Eagles. So
Oh,
um
okay.
sadly we lost last year in the Super Bowl and I wasn't feeling when it happened, so I refuse to remember that, but here we are. But yeah, no, I love football.
The Eagles look good again this year, though. I mean, kind of a scare last week against the Commanders, who aren't, they're not horrible. I don't think they're as bad as people thought, but they're definitely not as good as Philly is. I mean, that's for sure. So kind of had to be a nervous game for Philly fans there to squeak out of that one.
Yeah, I don't know what was going on. We did not play that well. I was freaking out and watching it on my phone, but at least we ended up with the dub, so that's okay.
Yeah. I like rooting for Jalen Hurts. I feel like he was kind of an underrated guy coming out of college. I mean, he was a second round pick. I feel like he was just as talented as all of the first round picks that year. And I think he kind of got the shaft when he didn't deserve it. So I like rooting for him. I think he's a good player. I think he's a good guy. So, I mean, I'm not an Eagles fan, but I wouldn't be angry if the Eagles won the Super Bowl. I'd rather the Eagles win the Super Bowl over a lot of other teams that I strongly dislike.
Perfect. We can be friends now.
Yeah. So, what about music? What kind of music do you like?
Oh, I like honestly everything like R&B, country, pop, and rap. So I kind of listen to anything. I wouldn't say I have like one particular genre that I only listen to. I guess it depends like what I'm doing. Summer's
Yeah.
probably more country. Working out is more rap, and like late night drives, I would say like R&B.
What's the team playlist like? I feel like I could guess that there's rap. It's pretty much what every team is. I'm just waiting. One day I'm gonna ask somebody this, and they're gonna say something other than rap, and it's gonna be the one. But I'm just guessing it's rap.
I mean, honestly, you have a very good guess. It's definitely rap. We haven't made our playlist yet for like warm-ups, but for pre-practice and stuff, I would say it's pretty much rap. Sometimes or
Yeah.
maybe switch it up where it's like R&B and everyone can sing, but most of the time it just I would say rap.
There's gonna be a team somewhere. They're like, yeah, our whole playlist is country. Like Morgan Wallen, Luke Combs before the game. Like somebody's gonna say that. I don't know when it's gonna happen, but I don't know.
I'll be shocked, but I'm here for it if it happens.
I want it to happen. There's no way every team in the country at like every level only listens to rap pregame. I mean, somebody's gotta some
I feel
country
like it's
like
just like the beat.
yeah. What about rock though? Like that's how I like to work out to like heavy metal rock. Nobody says that. That's gotta like hardcore
That's true.
get you angry, ready to go. I don't know.
No, that's actually true. I mean, my uncle does that too. I don't know. I there were some people in my high school that listened to like metal rock, but I wouldn't say that's definitely not a genre that I would listen to. But hey, I'm not gonna say it doesn't get people hyped up. That's what I won't say.
Yeah, that I bet if there was a team that had like country as their warm up, it'd definitely have to be a school down south. It would have to
Oh,
be.
100%.
So I just got to
Yeah.
start interviewing more athletes who play in the South, and there'll be a team. They'll be like, yeah, our whole playlist is country, not a single rap
We'll
song.
cross our fingers and let's see.
Yeah. What about food? What's your favorite food?
Food. I don't know. Like I do like seafood. Like I love salmon, like especially now because it's summer, like salmon, clams, but like I'll also do like hamburgers and hot dogs. I pretty much like anything. I wouldn't say like I'm super picky on stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Do you guys have a pregame meal? I suppose you haven't been at Ryder yet, so you might not know what the like food routine is, but at your other stops, was it pasta, chicken, pretty much?
Yeah, I would say like by the end of the season, everyone's pretty much done. They don't want to look at pasta. That's all you eat before a game. It's like carb load up.
Yeah, yeah. So when your season's over, you kind of want to take a break from the carbs, the pasta, and eat something a little different.
Mm-hmm.
What's your favorite holiday?
Oh, Christmas.
Okay, good answer. There's those weird people out there that say like Thanksgiving or Halloween or something. I don't know. I
I don't know how you could say Halloween, honestly.
I don't get it either. My cousin just posted something on Instagram like here's to the best month of the year for like October and like because she loves Halloween. And then that's just I don't know. I can't get behind that. I'm the guy I'll put up my Christmas decorations on November 1st. I mean like right away. As soon as Halloween's over, I'm putting all my Christmas decorations up. I'm gonna have 3 Christmas trees this year, so I mean I'm all in on Christmas.
Oh yeah, you're definitely all and having three. There we go. That's when you know you're for Christmas.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm
I'm gonna have
definitely like
one in
oh
yeah.
sorry, go.
No, you go ahead.
I would say like our family will like we'll watch a bunch of different Christmas movies and make cookies and stuff. But three
Yeah.
Christmas trees, that's something right there.
Yeah, I've already don't judge me anybody who's listening, but I've already like kind of been on and off listening to Christmas music once in a while. Like
Oh my gosh. That's
I
really early.
yeah, yeah, I know. I'm definitely gonna be getting some judgment for that one, but hey, it makes me happy. So
All the fans out there, don't judge him, please. Thank you.
yeah. Yeah, you see you gotta listen to my guests, please. I won't judge you if Halloween's your favorite holiday if you won't judge me for listening to Christmas music this early. I think that's a fair like I won't judge if they won't judge.
I think that's perfect.
All right. Why don't we I guess wrap it up on I mean it's your last year. So obviously you want to go out on top. Everyone does. So what are your goals for this year? Personal goals and I guess team goals for what you want to accomplish in your final year.
I think I'm just gonna touch upon like our team goals. I really want us to definitely be MAC champions, but I want us to make it to the first round of the NCAA tournament. I think our personal goals need to be to win. Our home game percentage used to be much higher than our away games because we have home court advantage. So I would say overall, MAC champions, definitely 100%. And I feel like no one says that they don't want to be champions. That's just not a good start to begin with. But I looked at like I want to make the NCAA tournament. That's like number one, I would say. Just to experience that, be involved in that is something that not a lot of athletes get the chance and opportunity to.
Yeah, and that'd be the perfect way to go out. It'd be like the perfect way to cap off your college basketball career.
Yeah. So that's what I'm most excited for. Personally, just being able to play. I do have personal goals, but I feel like right now it's just like relying. It depends on how our team does, and I think that's like the main focus for me this year is like leaving my mark and my legacy either as a player or a leader outside of just basketball.
Yeah, I think those are perfect goals to have. I wish you the best of luck with all those. Hopefully, we see Ryder in the NCAA tournament. So, Taylor, thanks
Oh,
for hopping on this episode of the podcast. Enjoyed going through your career. Wish you the best of luck with this upcoming season, which is less than a month away for a lot of teams. It's crazy to think about basketball is already back. I was watching baseball playoffs last night, so like baseball is over and basketball is starting, hockey's starting. Winter is almost here. That's just crazy. But thanks for coming on the podcast.
no,